What happened to Joe Walsh?
Joe Fiddler Walsh was born in Wichita, Kansas on November 20th, 1947. When Joe was still young, he and his family moved to Ohio, Chicago, New York City, and then Montclair, New Jersey. In 1965, Joe landed back in Ohio, where he attended Kent State University. Though Joe had played guitar in a high school cover band and a popular Kent bar band while in college, he came into his own in 1968 when he joined the Cleveland-based James Gang. One night in May 1968, on the way to Detroit for a show at the Grand Ballroom opening for Cream, half the band quit. Needing the money to pay for gas to get home, the James Gang took the stage as a trio, and Joe was forced to learn on the fly how to carry rhythm and lead duties while now singing lead simultaneously. Permanently reconfigured as a trio, the James Gang quickly developed a huge following in the Midwest and landed a record deal, leading to a 1969 debut album, Your Album, that became an FM radio staple and drew the ears of guitar aficionados like Pete Townsend, who personally invited Joe and the James Gang to open up for The Who on tour. Townsend regarded Joe as a fluid and intelligent player with few peers. Soon, the American public caught up in a big way, as the James Gang scored hits with singles like Funk 49 and Walk Away, and gold certifications for the albums James Gang Rides Again from 1970 and Thirds from 1971, before Joe's departure following the landmark 1971 live album Live in Concert, recorded at New York City's Carnegie Hall, where the James Gang was the first rock band ever to play. He impulsively walked away from a band with consecutive gold albums and moved from Cleveland to a former mining village high in the Colorado Rockies to pursue an as yet undefined sound with a new set of collaborators. In typical Joe Walsh style, he found out about a new studio being built nearby and arranged to record there for next to nothing in exchange for working out the kinks in the untested room. The album became the much-loved self-titled 1972 debut by Joe's next band, Barnstorm, and the studio became the legendary Caribou Ranch, which was soon to be home to hit recordings by Elton John, Chicago, and Earth, Wind and Fire, among many others. Barnstorm's second album, 1973's The Smoker You Drink, The Player You Get, yielded the biggest hit of Joe's career to that point with Rocky Mountain Way, eclipsing his James Gang output. Once again, however, despite another band on the rise, Joe was gradually getting restless. He found a new sense of home and a new manager, Irving Azoff, in the musical melting pot of Los Angeles, where Joe formed bonds with Glenn Frey, Don Henley, Jackson Browne, Dan Fogelberg, and J.D. Souther, among others. The 1974 solo album So What emerged from this period, and both that album and the live solo album that followed, You Can't Argue with a Sick Mind, hit the charts, making Joe a bona fide solo sensation. Even so, when the Eagles offered membership for Joe, he jumped at the chance. He and the members of the band had already been jamming and writing together as part of the magically fertile LA scene, and now he was able to bring his rock edge to the vocal harmonies he loved so much in the Eagles. The result was lightning in a bottle, and the new lineup of the Eagles defined an entire era with Hotel California. The album took the already successful band to dazzling new heights. Hotel California went on to sell over 50 million copies, and the title track won the band a Grammy Award for Record of the Year. As the recording of the Eagles' follow-up album dragged on, Joe recorded and released a solo album, 1978's But Seriously Folks, which spawned his signature send-up of the rock and roll lifestyle, Life's Been Good. During the same period, he recorded In the City for the soundtrack of the film The Warriors. That track was also re-recorded for the Eagles album that finally emerged in late 1979, The Long Run. Despite the success of The Long Run, which included 3 top 10 hits and won the band another Grammy, the extremes of being the biggest band in the land took its toll. The Eagles ground to a halt in 1980 and eventually confirmed they had split up. It wasn't long before Joe recorded another solo album, 1981's There Goes the Neighborhood, featuring perennial fan favorite Life of Illusion. Even as Joe spent the next decade battling increased problems with drugs and alcohol, one thing remained constant: his desire to make and perform music. You Bought It, You Name It came out in 1983. The Confessor came in 1985. Got Any Gum in 1987. Ordinary Average Guy in 1991, and Songs for a Dying Planet in 1992. Those years also saw him join Ringo Starr's inaugural all-star band alongside members of both the band and the E Street Band, among others. He also toured extensively with Australian supergroup The Party Boys. In addition, Joe played on records by everyone from the Beach Boys, Bob Seger, and Steve Winwood to Michael McDonald, Warren Zevon, and Lionel Richie. He also produced a New Zealand band called The Herbs. In 1994, Hell Freezes Over and Joe teamed up again with Don, Glenn, and Timothy to reform the Eagles. And when in 2007 they recorded a new studio album, Long Road Out of Eden, it reached a staggering 6-time platinum status long after the industry had pronounced the album form dead. In 1998, Joe was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame together with the Eagles. The reformation of the Eagles coincided with a new musical beginning for Joe, who had now been clean and sober since 1995, leading to one of the most fertile periods of his career. In addition to all of the activity with the Eagles, Joe embarked on a James Gang reunion, originally at the behest of then-President Bill Clinton. In 2001, Walsh received an honorary doctorate from Kent State University. In 2012, Walsh released his 10th solo album and first release in 20 years, Analog Man. The record featured 10 new songs and was co-produced with Jeff Lynne. Critically acclaimed, it also resonated with fans and concert audiences, and Joe found himself in high demand as a collaborator, producer, and guest musician. Among the highlights, he played alongside Paul McCartney and Bruce Springsteen in the closing jam at the 2012 Grammy Awards show. And that same year, the Berklee College of Music gave each of the Eagles honorary Doctor of Music degrees. He took part in the 2014 CBS TV special commemorating the 60th anniversary of the Beatles' first appearance on television. And he also appeared on the Foo Fighters' 2014 Sonic Highways album, and also in the corresponding TV episode documenting its creation. In 2014, Walsh played select solo shows as well as with the Eagles on the History of the Eagles World Tour, named after their 2-part Emmy Award-winning documentary, and the tour continued through July 2015. In the fall of 2015, Joe launched his solo Walsh Tour 2015. On October 4th, 2015, Joe performed at the Unite to Face Addiction rally in Washington, D.C., which he had viewed as an honor since he had been sober himself since 1995. Joe headlined the show alongside friends including Steven Tyler, Sheryl Crow, and Jason Isbell. The year 2016 saw Walsh back out on the road with a summer co-headline arena tour with Bad Company, as well as solo Walsh tour dates. In August 2016, Citizen Soldier was released, which was a documentary about an Oklahoma National Guard brigade deployed to Afghanistan, to which Joe proudly wrote original music, always eager to contribute to helping vets and bring awareness to their cause. On September 28th, Walsh performed with Vince Gill, James Taylor, Chris Stapleton, and Casey Musgraves for All for the Hall. October saw Walsh as Grand Marshal for the NASCAR Citizen Soldier 400 race at Dover Downs. On December 4th, Walsh became a Kennedy Center Honor recipient as a member of the Eagles, which was presented by Ringo Starr. Closing out the year, Walsh was honored for his solo career by the Museum of Pop Culture in Seattle, which on December 8th gave Walsh the Founders Award presented by Ringo Starr and Paul Allen. The event included a tribute concert celebrating Walsh's musical legacy by Dave Grohl and Taylor Hawkins, as well as a few others like Paul Rodgers and Todd Rundgren. In 2017, Walsh launched Vets Aid, his nonprofit organization, with the first annual concert event on September 20th at the Eagle Bank Arena in Fairfax, Virginia. A Gold Star family member himself, Walsh always has supported veterans' issues, and his goal was to raise funds to directly support a variety of veteran service organizations. The first show featured full set performances from Joe and his friends Keith Urban, Zach Brown Band, and Gary Clark Jr. Vets Aid 2018 sold out the Tacoma Dome with a crowd of 17,500 people, over twice the audience from the first year of 7,500. And this time, Joe was joined by friends Haim, Chris Stapleton, James Taylor, Don Henley, and Ringo Starr. Vets Aid has paid out over $1.1 million in grants. The year 2017 also saw Walsh play a 6-show residency series at the House of Blues in Las Vegas, continuing to tour throughout the year as a solo artist and then returning to the House of Blues in November 2017 for additional dates. That summer, Walsh reunited with fellow Eagles members Don Henley and Timothy B. Schmidt, accompanied by Deacon Fry and Vince Gill, for the triumphant Classic West and Classic East concert events. This led to additional stadium and arena breaking shows around the world through 2018. For the past several years, Joe has done non-stop touring with the Eagles and occasionally doing his own solo stuff as well. So the Eagles are going on their farewell tour starting the end of this year and continuing into next year. So what do you think Joe's going to do? Is he going to go on a full tour with the James Gang? Since at the Taylor Hawkins tribute show last year, he did a reunion with them, so the possibility is open. Do you think he'll go back and do solo things, or do you think he'll retire from the road and just do music at his own studio? And that's what happened to Joe Walsh. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And give me some facts about Joe that I failed to mention. And what do you think is going to be the next step in his career after the Eagles retire from touring? Thanks again for watching. Let me know who I should do next, and I'll see you in the next video.